Struggling to make business decisions? Yeah, I've been there. Hey, if we haven't met, I'm Lise. I've been in business for 14 plus years and I work with female entrepreneurs to help them create daily sales without social media. And I do that using a combination of email marketing and human design. So if you're on this channel, then we're on the human design bandwagon. But if you are struggling to make decisions, particularly when it comes to your business, there are a varied number of reasons why that might be the case. And I want to talk about how human design can actually help you make those decisions. So let's travel back in time a little though, because we need a little bit of context around what I actually mean by making business decisions. So back in 2020, when the world went a little swirly, I was faced with that very question. How do I make aligned decisions? Or how can I make a decision and make it stick? Now, for context, I, before that, was someone who could actually make decisions really easily. Make a decision, move forward, all good to go. But March 2020 was just really different. And I'm sure we can all agree nobody knew what was going on. And so decision making was really, really difficult. But I personally found it just crazy. I would literally make a decision. And this is specifically in my business because as the world was trying to figure things out, I also was trying to figure things out for my business. What does this even mean for an online business? I remember this week of making a decision, then literally changing my mind an hour later, making a decision, changing my mind an hour later. And it went on and on like this for a solid week. And I got to the point where I just like was just like, I don't even know what I'm meant to be doing right now. I just have no way forward. And this is where I jumped online and I started Googling how to make aligned decisions. And I'm not sure why the word aligned was the word that I was searching, but that's what I was searching for. How to make aligned decisions or how to make decisions that you actually stick to. In that research, that's when I discovered human design. And then I went down this rabbit hole and it was perfect timing. But what I really want to help you understand is if you are in this moment struggling to make decisions, there are a couple of reasons why that may be the case. And that largely depends on your authority, but it also depends on whether you have an open or defined head center. So I'm going to talk about the authorities first because I think it's helpful to just kind of get an understanding of that regardless. So if you don't have a sacral authority or splenic authority, then you're someone that's probably not going to be able to make decisions quickly. And that's fine, right? We're not all designed to make decisions quickly. And for those of us that do make decisions quickly, we also tend to change our minds a lot. So there's pluses and minuses for everything that we do. So if you don't have sacral authority or splenic authority, then you're probably going to have emotional authority, soundboarding, ego, heart, manifested, lunar authority, something along those lines. Specifically, though, what I'm really talking about here is for those of you who have emotional authority, because there's a big chunk of you walking around who do, you may find decision making really, really difficult. And if you're not sure if you have emotional authority or not, then all you have to do is look at your chart. Now, if you don't have your chart and you want a human design chart with a business flavor, then feel free to go to hustleandgroove.com/chart. And I will link that in the description below for you as well. And you can just run your chart there. And then you'll get a very quick answer as to what your authority is, your inner authority. But if you have emotional authority, here's a couple of things that I want you to remember. Not designed to make decisions immediately. You need space and time to feel all the feelings that you feel around something that you're making a decision with. Now, just so we're clear, you need to use your emotional authority to make a decision that is a fairly big decision. And let's be honest, anything that we're doing in our business is always going to be something that's going to impact us. So if it's going to impact your business, if it's going to impact your ability to make money, if it's going to impact your audience in some way, then you're always going to want to sleep on it. as simple as that, right? Literally just giving yourself the grace to sleep on any decision. And actually, for most of us, that works regardless of what our authority is. Sometimes, even if you have sacral or splenic, and the reason why I'm talking about those two specifically is because sacral and splenic authorities are in the moment decision makers, right? They can literally make the decision in the now. But sometimes, you know what? It's probably not a bad rule of thumb to sleep on a decision, particularly the bigger the decision is. So I want you to always just kind of give yourself that grace period. And then if you do happen to have emotional authority, you're also probably never ever going to have 100% certainty on a decision once you make it. And that's where you can kind of flip-flop. Now, I don't have emotional authority. I actually have sacral authority. But if we don't trust the decisions that we make, if we don't follow our inner authority, then that is when we can step into other parts that are going on in our chart, and particularly the pressure centers. Now, specifically, I want to talk about the head center. So if you have an open head center, then you are going to experience a lot of pressure to always know things, but to always doubt, right? You're going to have a lot of self doubt when it comes to stuff happening in your business, particularly when it comes to decision making. So it's just important to be aware of this. And this is really the thing that I love the most about human design is that you have the ability to do and interpret human design through your own lens. But it's also the ability to be okay with certain elements, right? It literally gives you permission and helps you understand why things are the way they are and that there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. So, open head, you're probably going to experience self doubt, right? It's always going to be around. The solution to combat that is to always center yourself back to following strategy and authority. Now, you'll hear me say this a lot, and if you've been in my world for any length of time, all roads lead back to strategy and authority. If you take the time to master your own strategy and authority, and particularly when it comes to your business, then you're always going to be able to get yourself back on track. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't go off track. I am living proof that is not the case, right? Like literally off track all the time. But I have the ability to get back on track because I'm aware, right? I have this awareness that really helps me with that. So when you are making a decision, when you are faced with a decision, the easiest way to kind of help you combat things is one, to know who you are and what that looks like. So if you know your strategy and authority, always default to that, right? Like literally ask yourself the question, did I follow strategy and authority? If you have emotional authority, have I slept on it? If you've got lunar authority, are you giving yourself the space that you need, right? You need a full 28 to 29 days to fully experience whatever decision it is that you're looking to make. And then all the other inner authorities is kind of the same. Sleeping on it is always going to be a good option. But then paying attention to your head center. If it's open, then just know that you're going to be bombarded with thoughts, but you get to decide what you give energy to. And that's the thing that I always want you to remember. You can't stop these thoughts from coming into your awareness, right? You can't stop them going on. What you can do consciously, right? So the conscious you can choose to decide whether you believe the thoughts or whether you allow them to take you off on a tangent. You can listen to the thoughts and then go, you know what? I'm going to dial into my strategy and authority and I'm just going to follow that. It's not that we don't ever ignore our head. It's more, let me just check to see if what the head is saying is actually true. Does it hold any weight? And particularly if you find yourself in a spiral of self doubt, being able to step out of that is key to being able to make decisions easily in your business. Now, if you have a defined head, the pressure is still there. It's just going to be a little bit different. The pressure for a defined head center is going to be you can't switch off. The thoughts are always there, right? They're just constantly there. Over analyzing, overthinking is the pressure of a defined head. So for you, it's very much about being able to go, okay, where's my focus? Again, following strategy and authority, because that's always going to be the answer. Consciously being able to go, okay, this is the focus. Everything else is just noise, and you get to decide again what you give energy to. So, the next time that you're faced with making a decision and you feel like it's a struggle, I want you to just always center yourself. The easiest way to do that is to put yourself in a space where no one else is around you, so you're not impacted by anybody else's energy and you're not impacting other people's energy. So, find a really nice, quiet space. And if you're outside, just make sure that people are far enough away from you. Sit down and literally just kind of ask yourself the question, am I following strategy and authority? What thoughts am I actually thinking? Do I agree with them? And what's my best next step? And allow your actual beautiful brain and your strategy and authority to be the things that guide you. So excited for the next video, which is coming up on your screen right now. I'll see you there.